No. They have a song called The Sovereign Steel, the anthem of Alberta. Oh my god, not like MAGA people using AI to make music. Oh my god. I've been trying to fake it. I'm good at it. I smile on like a... What's good everybody? Today I want to talk about a topic that has been affecting me and the way that I create. In case you don't know, I'm a founder of a record label called Transgenders. Also a recording artist myself, make a lot of music, release a lot of music, and I've been in the music industry for 9 years of Transgenders, and before that I was already a recording artist and stuff, and so it's been a while. And the thing that has been consistent is that the quality of life as a musician has been going down, even though their success and the capital generated with the work that they're doing has been going up, which it doesn't make sense. It's obviously not fair, and it's keeping a lot of people from being creative. I know there's the myth of the starving artist and stuff like that, but a lot of people who are even mainstream artists are really struggling, which is not normal. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the state of the music industry, what's happening, and basically how do we fix it. And by how do we fix it, I obviously do not know how to fix it. But as somebody who operates a small record label, a record label that I want to be community focused, you know what I mean? I don't want to be a record label that contributes to the state of the industry. What can I do, my little self, to at least offer something new, offer a different solution, offer an alternative to the current state of the music industry today, and something that would be more sustainable for artists, more sustainable for everybody, you know what I mean? I want to tell y'all a little bit about two big part of the industries that are struggling. So the first one, I want to talk about the live action and Ticketmaster merger and explain to y'all what it is. And then I'm going to talk to you about the streaming industry, but especially Spotify, because I feel like Spotify is the leader in the space, and what they're doing sets the tone for what everybody else does after them. I think it's very important for people to be aware of where their money is going, and what they're contributing to, basically. I don't know. So first I wanted to watch a video. It's a news video, okay, from CBC.
The U.S. Department of Justice and 30 states are suing the owner of Ticketmaster. They're accusing Live Nation of exercising, quote, monopolistic control. Music fans have been complaining for years about inflated ticket prices. Richard Madden has more about the lawsuit and its implications from Washington.
Well, Attorney General Merrick Garland is taking on America's biggest player in the live concert business. The Department of Justice is suing Live Nation, accusing it of running an illegal monopoly and calling for its breakup from Ticketmaster. Now, Garland says the company abuses its market dominance by controlling all aspects of the business, from promotion, access to venues, and of course, ticket sales. He says this unlawful practice hurts performers, stifles competition, and most importantly, he says, squeezes fans by tacking on outrageous fees on ticket prices.
Live Nation Ticketmaster has made itself ubiquitous in the live entertainment industry. It controls at least 80% of primary ticketing at major concert venues. It directly manages more than 400 artists and controls more than 60% of concert promotions across the country.
So see, like Live Nation and Ticketmaster, so they're two companies that obviously Ticketmaster controls all the ticketing system, and Live Nation is a management agency, promoting agency. The merger between Live Nation and Ticketmaster happened in February 2009. That's when Live Nation announced that it reached an agreement to merge with Ticketmaster for $2.5 billion, okay? In January 2010, that the DOJ approved that merger under a settlement agreement, that sounds very complicated. But all you have to know about this is that this is not a monopoly merger that was approved by, Trump or somebody like that. This was under the Obama administration, and a lot of people were already sounding the alarm. If these two companies merge together, it's going to cause a lot of problems. They're going to use the monopoly to basically drive ticket prices up and to just ruin the industry. You know what I mean? And so this is what 14 years later, there's a lawsuit.
And it owns or controls more than 60% of large amphitheaters in the United States.
That's a huge number.
We allege that to sustain this dominance, Live Nation relies on unlawful, anti-competitive conduct.
Now, the DOJ began investigating Live Nation about 2 years ago after Ticketmaster's disastrous rollout of Taylor Swift concert tickets. Legions of angry fans complained of long waits in the queue and massive service fees attached to the few tickets that weren't already scooped up by scalpers or bots. Now, in response to this lawsuit, Live Nation called the allegations baseless, a short-term public relations win for the DOJ that won't solve ticket prices or in-demand shows.
Other promoters and music artists have long complained about Live Nation's alleged monopoly. The president and CEO of Canadian Independent Music told CBC News how the situation has hurt artists, and he spoke about how small and mid-sized promoters are also impacted.
These promoters are really an important part of the nurturing of artists' careers, and frankly, I think they're being squeezed out by what's happening with with the situation with Live Nation. So now that affects the artists. For newcomers, it's particularly difficult because there's this confluence of this corporate consolidation on the live side with Live Nation, and on top of that, crazy real estate prices in downtown areas where clubs tend to be, and so there's fewer and fewer places to play. I hear artists say the craziest things, like, "Hey, maybe we should just buy, 100 tickets." And then resell them on one of these, on one of these other platforms to make a bit of money. I mean, this is what's happening right now.
Well, for more on how this affects the industry, we are joined now by antitrust expert Ron Knox. He is a senior researcher and writer at the Institute for Local Self-Reliance. We reach him tonight in Kansas City, Missouri. So talk to me a little bit about what evidence the government would have right now that they feel they've got enough here to bring this forward.
Well, basically what the government found was that Live Nation and its subsidiary Ticketmaster leveraged its power in a few different markets to essentially bully venues into using its Ticketmaster ticketing platform, and to force fans, music fans all over the world, basically, to pay whatever fees Ticketmaster decided it was going to charge for those tickets. The important thing to keep in mind here is that Live Nation is the largest concert promoter, the largest artist manager, and the second largest venue owner and operator in America, and I believe on the continent. When you have that kind of power over artists, over huge tours, you can basically dictate what small venues have to do in order to access those artists and those tours, and to promote those. And it said you have to use Ticketmaster, and because of that, Ticketmaster can charge whatever it wants. That is, under the law, a monopoly violation, and that's basically what the lawsuit says.
So Ticketmaster here says that this is not going to lead to lower ticket prices or service fees. I don't know if you heard the item there earlier from our Richard Madden, but they essentially said that, this is a publicity stunt for the government right now.
Yeah, no, I understand, and I'm sure Ticketmaster did say that. Look, the way that you get lower prices for anything is that you inject more competition.
That's crazy. I'm sure they said that. I'm sure they said that, but it's not, Oh, that was a nice jab though. But yeah, no, let's keep
into the market, and that's exactly what this lawsuit is intending to do. At the moment, venues and artists and fans have no choice but to use Ticketmaster. They have an 80% share of the U.S. ticket market. I'm sure it's just as high throughout the continent, and that's unavoidable. So of course, Ticketmaster can charge whatever it wants, and fans simply have to suck it up and pay it, or they don't get to go to the shows. And anyone who's bought a concert ticket knows that that is exactly the case. What this lawsuit would do, and what Breakup would do, is essentially to allow the promoter, the venues, to choose whichever ticketing service they want, allowing new startup ticketing services, existing smaller ticketing services to grow and to potentially offer lower fees, a much better fan experience. And that's really what, this lawsuit is about. For Ticketmaster to say it's a publicity stunt is really disingenuous. There's a lot of evidence in the lawsuit that shows that they indeed may very well have broken the law.
But that's like a tactic that people do, right? It's like, oh, we didn't do anything wrong. Like, instead of replying to what the lawsuit is saying, like point by point, and really like having an argument that targets like, you know, what was said against them, they decide to completely like switch it and like victimize themselves by being like, oh no, like this is just, you know, people are just against us, like we're just, you know, it's a publicity stunt, whatever they said. I mean, it's a very common tactic for people to do in situations of conflict. There's no backup behind that, you know what I mean? It's like on one side you have a lawsuit that has a bunch of evidence, and on the other side you have these dudes, I'm assuming they're dudes. I might be, but yeah, no, I know at least for one of them I'm right, throwing those statements without any facts, you know what I mean? And they're just appealing to people's emotional response. It's like, oh my god, look, we're under attack, like what's going on? We're just like entrepreneurs, like we make good money, like how dare you attack us? No. How much did it cost to see the Beatles live? So it would be between $4.50 and $5.50 to see the Beatles live at the Montreal Forum on September 8th, 1964. In today's money, how much is, let's say, we're going to put in the middle, so how much is $5 in 1964 in today's money? Canadian dollars. Let's look at, okay, we have an inflation calculator right here. $5 in 1964, $50. $50 in 2025. That is to see the Beatles at the peak of their fame on September 8th, 1964. $50, 50 Canadian dollars, okay? So 50 CAD to USD, it would be, 35.8. How much is a Taylor Swift concert ticket? Toronto, how much was it? Between $1,600 to $11,000. That's Canadian dollars. The cheapest restricted view or obstructed view, it's $2,000. Better seats can be $3,500 or more, with the highest prices exceeding $11,000. That is wild. And the Beatles would have been $50. Average rent for one bedroom in Canada, okay? Let's look like in Toronto because the show is in Toronto. But just in Canada in general, you see it's about like, average of, that's crazy, $2,000. In Montreal, it's a tiny bit less, thankfully. But yeah, so an average of like $2,000. So basically you're spending a whole month of rents on a concert ticket. You're spending your entire rent, if not more, on a concert ticket. Concerts used to have always been affordable, not only like somewhat affordable, you know what I mean? Before the time that we're in today, concerts were somewhat affordable. Like I said, seeing the Beatles for what would be the equivalent of 50 Canadian dollars in today's economy, it would be like, going to see Beyonce or Taylor Swift or whoever for that amount of money, because those were the artists that, like the Beatles, I mean, those, if I'm not mistaken, those were the biggest artists in the 60s. Like, they created groupies and stuff, you know what I mean? So, yeah, and now if you want to go see Taylor Swift, you have to spend between $1,600 and $12,000. It's wild. Some people in the US, for example, to go see those artists like Beyonce, Taylor Swift, like those big shows, they'd rather fly to Europe, attend the concert there, and then fly back, and that'll be less expensive than just buying the tickets in the US, like in their own country. It is wild to me, especially when we know that artists are not, like musicians are not making that much money anymore. This is the CEO of Live Nation, okay? So the CEO, Ticketmaster, he's the boss, you know what I mean? And this is like something that he said during, I don't know if it was a conference, an interview, whatever.
Music is a better business, though, than selling tickets for sports, I assume.
Yes, 100%. It's like a badge of honor to spend 70 grand for a Knicks courtside. They beat me up if we charge 800 for Beyonce, right? So it's a real, we have a lot of runway left, right? So when you read about the ticket prices going up, it's still, average concert price is $72. Try going to a Laker game for that, and there's 80 of them or whatever the hell. So the concert is underpriced, has been for a long time.
In 2024, the average ticket price for the top 100 touring artists was $135.92, up 41% from $96.17 in 2019. I'm sorry for the expression, but he's literally talking out of his ass. When they talk and they defend their practices, it has no basis. They're not like actually using actual facts. Like, they're not using facts, they're not using the truth. So in 2024, so yeah, like we saw, tickets at smaller venues like clubs, so this is usually $43.95, and theaters, $75 were cheaper, but stadium and arena shows where stars like Taylor Swift perform drove the averages higher. The Montreal Forum would be like a big show. Like, this is not a small club. That's not a small club. So if seeing the Beatles here was $40 at the time, a bit under $40 at the time, now for that price, you go to a small club, see some local acts. Rapinoe acknowledged that ticket prices are rising, but attributed it to greater production costs and investment in the fan experience. We just did the Beyonce tour. She's got 62 transport trucks outside. That's a Super Bowl she's putting on every night, he said. 10 years ago, there might have been 12 trucks. Most artists are even sacrificing margin to elevate their shows, Rapinoe said, adding, "I've never met an artist that said, 'How rich can I get tonight?'" So this part is funny because it's not the artists that are getting rich. Whenever you pay fees to Ticketmaster, it doesn't go to the artist. The artist only make on the basic amount, and then that money is split between a lot of people. Like, artists are not the ones seeing that money. That's the thing. Rapinoe's comments haven't landed well online, with many expressing frustration at concert ticket prices they already see as too high. Apparently, concerts are only for rich people now too, one Reddit user wrote. Live Nation merged with Ticketmaster in 2010 and believes itself to be the largest live entertainment company in the world. That dominance has also made it a frequent target of customer ire English is not my first language. Consumer ire over consolidation in the live events industry. Okay, I did it. Last year, the Justice Police Department filed an antitrust lawsuit. So this is what we just talked about, okay? And like we said, Ticketmaster controls 80% or more of major U.S. concert venues. From 2019 to 2024 alone, consumers spent more than $82.6 billion purchasing tickets from Ticketmaster. When I said the artists are not making money, in the news report that we watched earlier, they said that they're bullying small venues into accepting the Ticketmaster platform to sell ticket sales, and then the venues don't make money on the fees. That's all Ticketmaster money. And basically what they do is they go, allegedly, they go to those smaller venues and they're gonna bully those venues into okay, if you don't use Ticketmaster, every artist that is managed by Live Nation, so basically every artist that is under us, that works with us, we will not bring their tour to your venue. So you will be stuck with smaller artists, so smaller ticket sales and all of that. And so they have to say yes. They don't have any control over ticket sales. Artists do not have any control over ticket sales, although I strongly believe that if you're an artist, if you're a Taylor Swift or something, if you are an artist who has billions of streams, then I think that you do have some type of power over the industry. If you're big enough, like a Taylor Swift or Ariana Grande, they could, and I think Ariana Grande has done it, but they could really do a deal with Ticketmaster and influence that and be you know what, we're not gonna do anything with you anymore. I feel like people who have more power should be saying more about this, okay? This article is from the Rolling Stones, and it's Centigold on why musicians are burning out like never before. The artist opens up about the economic and mental health challenges plaguing those who make music for a living and how it led her to canceling her tour. In another universe, Centi White might be about to hit the road for her Hollified tour right now. Instead, the musician, who performs as Sentigold, is talking to Rolling Stones about what she calls a cultural crisis. As she was preparing to tour on the heels of her new album, Spirituals, Sentigold came to the sound realization that the trek was unsustainable, both financially and for her mental health. She made the difficult decision to cancel the run, and she was far from alone. Shawn Mendes, Justin Bieber, Animal Collective, Arlo Parks, and Sam Fender recently canceled their tours completely as well, while others, including Wet Leg, nixed tour stops, all citing burnout or mental health reasons. There are a slew of factors taking their toll on artists, she says, from the monetary and emotional costs of being on the road to the pressure to get back to the way things functioned before pandemic lockdowns. And the burnout has followed in a big way. Over Zoom, Sentigold explains how the pandemic created a perfect storm that exacerbated an already inequitable deal for those who make music for a living. There is, in our country, a belief of, fuck the people, it's all about money, right? She says. So that we jump right back in and get back to work. No conversation, no support, no anything to help people process what just went through. The demands of the modern music business added challenges for mothers like herself who have to care for their children while touring is paramount. There is beyond no support, she says. It's horrible for women in this industry. We discuss, I want to see when this came out, 2022. Okay, while she says it's about her mental health, a lot of artists have also recently canceled their tour because of financial reasons. Lil Sims canceled her US tour, citing financial inviability as an indie artist. The month-long tour would leave her in a huge deficit, highlighting the difficulties many musicians face to make a livelihood. So, Little Sims, I take my live show seriously, and I would only want to give you guys nothing but the best of me, the 28-year-old rapper and actor tweeted. Being an independent artist, I pay for everything, encompassing my live performances out of my own pocket, and touring the US for a month would leave me in a huge deficit. As much as this pains me to not see you at this time, I'm just not able to put myself through that mental stress. So that's, just one of the artists that decided that they just can't tour because they just don't have the money for it anymore. Like, it's a lot of money touring, especially with what I told you. Like, just because ticket prices are going up does not mean that the artists are the one footing the bill. Usually when ticket prices go up, like I said, Ticketmaster, Live Nation, those are the ones that get richer.
Michael, thank you so much for joining me here today at your Live Nation headquarters on the heels of a much better than expected top line beat, over $1 billion higher revenue than analysts expected. Coming off such a big year, you had a strong year the year before. Was last year peak concerts? Are you going to be able to keep up this momentum?
Right, that's the question coming out of COVID. But we think we're on a new decade-long run of this kind of breakout of concerts on a global basis. We're seeing the global demand that we never saw before.
2024.
Every 18 and 16-year-old in the world that has a TikTok wants to see Drake and Taylor Swift. So we think we're at the start of a new revolution and a global surge on live music.
Revenue up 36% in 2024. Well, in 2023. Yeah, in 2023. Their revenues were up 36%, with an all-time high for attendance, an all-time high for ticket sales, an all-time high for sponsorships. Meanwhile, artists are burning out and are canceling their tour. And that revenue they're rising ticket sales like it's wild,
AOI since then, in 3 years, basically. So our business in 23 was on fire, but we're also making sure we invest for the future. We're really, really doubling down on our venue strategy, which is in our concerts division. So we're absolutely making sure we deliver, but also investing in what we think is a bright future for venues.
Everything is like green, 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 green. And the thing is, like, for a business like this, that was created in 2010, to be growing that much 12 years after your creation in that high, because that's 36% of that's big. When you look at, like, the final thing is $22.7 billion in revenue. That is wild.
So we think in 23, we still got 24, we've got 10, 12 stadium tours out there right now. more to add. But yes, definitely more arena tours, Usher, Justin Timberlake, Olivia. And more money for us happens when shows end up in our amphitheaters, our fest.
How he said Olivia, like not even like the full name, Olivia. I'm assuming he's talking about Olivia Rodrigo, you know what I mean? But people, how he just said Olivia, like, oh, we're homies.
But are you at all concerned that consumer spending is going to tap out at some point?
Right, that's the question. We have seen nothing yet. I was in Columbus, Ohio 2 nights ago for a Drake show. He's doing a college tour. It is sold out. We did 2 nights in Columbus, middle of America. All the merchandise was selling out. Everyone was having a great time at the bar. So we have seen no pullback. And again, we always remind people, the concert is still a very affordable experience compared to going on a travel trip or Disneyland or other expensive kind of propositions. It's still an incredible escape.
He just compared like a concert to traveling. Going to a concert is cheaper than traveling, so like, why are you complaining? It's cheaper than traveling. It's actually not too. It's not, because I'm sorry, $1,600. Like, no, I can go a lot of places for that money. I'm not an economist, okay? I took some economy classes in high school. This is about it. But the fact that Live Nation went up 2.25% and Madison Square Garden Entertainment 0.43%, that just tells you like, I don't know, it just tells you like how the market in like live entertainment is like, look, it's not doing that great. It's just them.
It's still double what primary pricing is. So the demand is still strong as ever. We still think it's the best place that a consumer can go for that value.
This is an article from the BBC, okay? So at the beginning of the stream, I looked at how much was a concert ticket for the Beatles in Montreal in 1964, and it was an average of $5, which is 50 Canadian dollars today, which 50 Canadian dollars today is 40 US dollars. And compared to the average ticket for a Taylor Swift concert, which is between $1,600 and $12,000, there's a little bit of there's a little bit of a gap here. The last time Oasis played Wembley Stadium in 2009, so that's not even that far back in time. 2009 is like 20 years ago, not even. A standing ticket cost exactly 44.04 pounds. 44 pounds in US dollars. It is $59. For the return next summer, the same ticket was priced at 150 pounds. And that's Wembley Stadium. That's not even in the US. Ticket prices shot up to 23% last year. This is also something that's like in 2024. So when we just saw the fact that like Live Nation, their income that they made rose 36%. And they were like, no, we're not rising ticket prices, whatever. And the ticket prices shot up by 23% last year, which is wild. At the most extreme end of the scale, Madonna charged £1,306.75 for VIP passes. I'm not going to read all of this, but in the UK, 51% of people say high prices have stopped them going to gigs at least once in the last 5 years. Among 16 to 34 years old, 2/3 of concert goers say they've reduced the number of shows they attend. So this goes completely against what homie was just saying right before. I work hard and earn a decent wage. What do I have to do to be able to just enjoy these things when I'm doing everything I possibly can? So why have costs skyrocketed? If your first thought was greed, well, that's definitely part of it. They're saying that like it's not speculation to think that some artists want to make as much money as they can, which I'm sure that I'm sure that Taylor Swift, Beyonce, like those big artists, I'm sure that they have a better deal with Ticketmaster than other artists. Like there's no way that like they do those big ass tours and Ticketmaster don't give them like a little bit of stuff, compared to smaller artists. One musician who's been bullish about the price hikes is Bruce Springsteen. Fans were alarmed when some seats for his 2023 US tour were priced as high as $5,000. $5,000 thanks to Ticketmaster's dynamic pricing. Can you imagine? I'm sorry. No shade again, but if you spend $5,000 to see Bruce Springsteen live, somebody should revoke your rich person card. Springsteen argued that most of the tickets were in an affordable range, but he was fed up with touts making money off his back, so he chose to match their prices. I'm going, hey, why shouldn't that money go to the guys that are going to be up there sweating 3 hours a night for it? I mean, honestly, fair, but also that's not really how you fix the issue, Bruce. That's not how you fix the issue, Bruce. Kiss star Gene Simons also defended the system. The system. Why is it always white cis dude defending shitty systems? It's always them. Whatever the pricing is, it's all academic. At this point, they're just speaking to say nothing. What does that mean? What is an academic price? What is an academic pricing? It's like a pi square number, and you have to like calculate the whole equation to understand what the pricing is or some shit. Whatever the pricing is, it's all academic. It means nothing. It's so. Somebody sits in the room and tries to figure out how far the rubber band can stretch. And if you're not selling tickets, guess what happens? The price goes down. Capitalism. Vote for it with your money, he concluded. You don't like the ticket pricing? Don't buy a ticket. That is such a cop-out. That is such an abusive, manipulative tactic to be like, oh, well, you don't like it? Go back to your country. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of the same... That's honestly the same type of, like, rhetoric. Like, you're just saying to somebody, well, you know, if you don't like it, well, just leave. Like, just buy. Like, you don't need to, you know, go to concerts anymore. You don't like how expensive it is to rent an apartment? Well, just buy. Just go live on the street. You know what I mean? You don't like how expensive it is to eat? Well, don't eat. Just starve. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. Springsteen and Simmons are in good company. Oh, wow. Other artists who've embraced dynamic pricing include Coldplay, Harry Styles, Olivia Rodrigo, and Taylor Swift. Who is surprised? Who is surprised? Although Taylor Swift ditched it for the Eras Tour after significant fan backlash, and Coldplay announced their 2025 tour prices would be fixed at the advertised rates. So basically, that tells us everything we need to know about, like, the actual response. So the response is not to have musicians be like, you know what, I'm going to charge a lot of money, and that way I'm going to stop resellers and stuff like that, and the money will go to me. The actual answer and the actual solution is to get on their ass. Get on their ass. Like, you know, the only reason why Taylor Swift ditched it for the Eras Tour and that Coldplay, like, fixed, you know, the prices of their tour is because fans were mad. And that's the only way that we can, you know, people need to start speaking up, and people need to, like, act like Karens a little bit more. It's okay to act like a Karen sometimes. In that case, yes. Against the system, yes. Against black people, no. You know what I mean? We need to, like, hold them accountable, especially, like, you know, just how, like, the CEO of Live Nation was calling Olivia Rodrigo just Olivia. Like, that's his homie and stuff. And, in the UK, if you pay £150 tickets, £93 goes to the artist. Some of this pays for tour expenses, cruise transport, whatever. That's the taxes, VAT, ticket fees. This all goes to Ticketmaster. The promoter gets £10 and performance royalty. Okay, performance royalties, that's the royalties that, like, you pay whoever wrote the song. The Ticketmaster fees got ridiculous over the time, because it used to be like 10 to 20%, and now it's an average of 25 to 30% of the ticket's face value, and in some extreme cases reaching up to 75% or even higher for certain events or resells. That is insane. But that's not it, okay? Because now I'm going to talk about another side of the music industry that's also very messed up. I'm going to talk about our homies at Spotify, okay? So first, we're going to see this article from The Guardian. So this is about a band called Massive Attack. And Massive Attack decided that they're going to remove their music from Spotify to protest against the CEO Daniel Ek's investment in AI military. So the band cited a moral and ethical burden placed on artists by revenue from their work ultimately funding lethal technology. Okay. So Massive Attack have become the latest act and first major label one to pull their catalog from Spotify in protest at founder Daniel X investing $600 million or 520 million pounds in the military AI company Helsing. In June, ex-venture capital firm Prima Materia led the defense tech firm's latest funding round. Helsing software uses AI technology to analyze sensor and weapon system data from battlefields to inform real-time military decisions. It also makes its own military drone, the HX-2. Ek, I don't know, is also chairman of Helsing. The band made the announcement at the same time that they signed up for a new initiative, No Music for Genocide, in which a group of more than 400 artists and labels are blocking their music from streaming services in Israel, which we just did today at Trendstrenders. Sent the request. The request is sent. No Trendstrenders music in Israel. So in a statement, the band said, oh my god, the accent is coming out. Unconnected to this initiative, and in light of the reported significant investments by its CEO in a company producing military munition drones and AI technology integrated into fighter aircraft, Massive Attack have made a separate request to our label that our music be removed from the Spotify streaming service in all territories. In our view, the historic precedent or effective artist action during apartheid South Africa and the apartheid, I don't know, war crimes and genocide now being committed by the State of Israel renders the No Music for Genocide campaign imperative. In the separate case of Spotify, the economic burden that has long been placed on artists is now compounded by a moral and ethical burden, whereby the hard-earned money of fans and the creative endeavors of musicians ultimately funds lethal dystopian technologies. Enough is more than enough. Another way is possible. And for me, that's the thing. Another way is possible. And that's what I've been reflecting on like a lot lately. I have music release fatigue because it's just so exhausting to make music and then put it out and know that like you're not going to make any money off of it. Spotify, you make 0.03 to 0.05 cent per stream. That's nothing. In order, like a couple years ago, in order to make $3,000, you needed to have 1 million streams. $3,000 is like a monthly salary where you can survive. Like even $3,000 is nothing. And this, we just saw that like the average rent is $2,000. You know what I mean? In Canada, which is insane. It was not like that when I moved here. But you know, like 1 million stream per month, and you would not even be financially fully stable. You know, and that's not okay. A few years ago, there was this incentive that like, oh, at least Spotify has a very good discoverability system. And so if I put my music on Spotify, I can hit playlists and all of this can, you know, like people, I can find my fans, I can find my audience, whatever. That is obviously not happening anymore because Spotify has been putting a lot of new AI generated music on their platform, so that the algorithm basically like prioritizes the AI music. And you know, if the artist is not real, you don't have to pay any royalties. You know what I mean? You don't have to pay any royalties. So this is a Pitchfork article. Spotify's new policy won't stop the wave of AI slop. So over the last couple of months in protest, so this is what we saw, like in protest of the AI military venture capital, Helsing, a wave of musicians have stripped their music off of Spotify. So indie faves like, I do not want to mispronounce article's name, I don't know, Dear Hoof, Hotline TNT, Godspeed You, Black Emperor, and King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Is that a whole band name? King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. That's kind of a cool name. Have all joined the fray. Last week, Durian and Massive Attack announced their departure from the platform, quickly followed by Sylvain Esso. Then, out of nowhere, on Tuesday, Ek announced his departure, stepping back but not exactly stepping out. Because I saw a lot of articles being like, the Spotify CEO is not the Spotify CEO no more. He stepped down. And it's like, he's moving from CEO to executive chairman. Keyword executive. Executive chairman. They have a lot of power. So he's not stepping down. You know what I mean? So it feels like the latest and grandest move in the streamer's ongoing reputation rehabilitation campaign. During the last few months, the company has unleashed a flood of features and security measures that might just be conveniently timed, but also feel like tactics to deflect from the negative PR. Among them is a tool to let users DM friends on the platform, a feature the company reheated from a decade ago when they tested it and killed it after barely anyone used it. There's also the introduction of lossless audio. Wait, just now? This article came out like 2 days ago. Lossless audio is just coming out on Spotify now? That's kind of wild. The only update that actually hooked me is Spotify's new announcement around AI and spam. They claim that over the last year, they've removed 75 million songs engaging in what they call spam tactics. People mass uploading generic nonsense, the same songs uploaded twice or thrice, cheats to hijack the SEO, like stuffing keywords in titles to get algorithmically surfaced easier, and artificially short track abuse, which is when people split up longer songs into short segments to rack up royalties. The company teased a new spam filter that will help Spotify avoid recommending songs engaging in these sliming tricks going forward. They also announced a new tool that artists uploading music to Spotify can use to disclose if they've used AI. I was gonna say something, but they're saying it for me. Clearly, this about face is about saving face. Spotify's emphasis on playlists and endless streaming has prioritized passive listening background music in a way that's directly facilitated spam and AI. As writer Liz Pelly discovered, so this is in harpers.org, so that can be interesting, a piece to read through too. The platform partnered with companies who hire songwriters to pump out stock tunes basically indistinguishable from AI, letting them release their music under a slew of fake ghost profiles. And when we say fake ghost profiles, we don't say Blxck. Blxck is not a fake ghost. Blxck is a real ghost. Thank you very much. I like that joke. It's not my fault, okay? Don't blame me. Spotify would cut deals to pay them less royalties, then stuff these conveyor belt tunes on curated playlists, thus maximizing Spotify's profits. Earlier this year, Spotify announced a partnership with voice generator 11 Labs for AI audiobooks. We can't forget about Spotify's heavily hyped AI DJ, an algorithmic tour guide with a stunningly realistic voice. That's newsroom.spotify.com. Okay, wow, they actually use that. That many people say barely works. On a recent car trip, a friend prompted it to play ocean-themed music, and it played Frank Ocean. I mean, Frank Ocean got the waves, I guess. I don't know. Blxck himself has glazed AI, saying in 2023 that it's great culturally, but also benefits Spotify because the more creators we have on our service, the better it is, and the more opportunity we have to grow engagement and grow revenue, which is not true. It is not true. The way that Spotify works is that basically whatever money they get from people paying to listen to their platform gets split equally, allegedly, between all the streams of all the artists on the platform, right? But the thing is, recently, not recently, a couple years ago, a year ago, I don't know exactly, you would have to check that for me. They stopped paying royalties if you if you have less than 1,000 streams on the first month of releasing your song from 500 different listeners. For example, drop a song, it gets 1,000 streams, but it's from 200 people or 400 people. It's like, yeah, people like the song, they be listening to it a lot, and, that's not good, apparently. So Spotify's contextless vortex of passive consumption, pleasantly inoffensive AI slots right into the algorithm, infinite fodder to keep users chained to the platform. It's a half-baked, half-measure. Similar to YouTube's self-disclosure system, which lets creator mark if their video involves AI with an altered and synthetic media label on the video, Spotify doesn't seem to be making this a mandatory admission. Spotify is clearly trying to frame the update as empowering for AI merchants, a way for responsible musicians to share if and how they're using AI, as if it's a point of pride. As Spotify's global head of music product Charlie Hellman told Variety, they're not here to punish artists for using AI authentically and responsibly. We hope that they will enable them to be more creative than ever. So I'm not 100% against AI. Well, I didn't have the article on screen, but this is what I just read. I'm not 100% against using AI. It's an industry that if we drive it into the right direction, we can, reshape the way it affects climates. We can, put restrictions in place. There can be some bills. There can be some legislation in place to make sure to protect the environment from AI, to make sure that AI is used ethically and all of that. I think it's very possible. I think that it's one of those technologies that now that it's out, it's not going to get back in. It's always going to be there. The thing is, we have to learn how to use it properly. We're not going to punish artists who are using AI authentically and responsibly. You're not telling people what does that mean? Using AI authentically and responsibly, what does that mean to you? What does it mean? Put definitions, because just saying that using AI authentically, if you do not put a definition to that, then anybody who uses AI in whatever shape or form, they can be like, yeah, I'm using it authentically. They can have whatever argument they have. You have to define that. And that's the thing that is wrong with AI today, is there's not enough rules around it. There's not enough. We need to put limits, okay? So yeah. Over the last year, Spotify has become congested and infested with fake AI profiles, accounts with fictional names and airbrushed avatars posing as real artists while churning out robo-slop. There was the Velvet Sundown, a psych rock band that amassed over 1 million monthly listeners before their creator admitted that it was something like a social experiment. No band ever existed, and the photo was as fake as the music. There was the case of Charleston rocker Johnny Delaware, a real human musician who was vexed after the podcast switched on pop and an Atlantic writer questioned if he was AI thanks to Spotify's poorly programmed custom playlists. And that's another thing, is that the artists that are AI, people think they're real, and the artists that are real, people think are AI. I've seen that in other industries as well. I've seen that when it comes to artists, like visual artists, graphic designers, people who draw, and things like that. And it's starting to happen to musicians as well. People are starting to accuse real musicians of being AI. When that happens to people who draw, drawers, painters, whatever, digital artists, oftentimes you'll see people be like, oh, can you share a screen cap of your in process? We want to see the different layers. We want to see how you did that. And it's artists should not have to do that. And it's kind of creating a very toxic environment where if I'm an artist and I don't want to show you the layers in my drawing, I don't have to. And it doesn't mean I'm AI. Artists should not have to justify themselves. Add to that all the lo-fi beat makers who told me they've lost thousands of dollars after being replaced by what they believed were AI musicians on the platform's official playlists. While other platforms like Apple and YouTube Music are also swamped in AI waste, Spotify is, in some cases, actively promoting it. See the epic fantasy of droid rocker Echo Harper, whose avatar looks like Call of Duty fine art, and has a song on the top half of Spotify's curated Just Rock playlists. Spotify curated playlists are curated by actual people. The editorial playlists are curated by actual editorialists. That's their job. I don't know, man, but many of the platform's current biggest AI blights wouldn't, by the standards of Spotify's new announcement, be considered robotic spam or subject to removal. There's an emerging middle class of AI acts with hundreds of thousands of monthly listeners that have official This Is playlists, which Spotify uses to compile the artist's biggest songs. Spotify has done it for David Swen, an artist whose bio promises soul rock for people who felt too much. Propping up these anti-artists promotes a kind of false idolatry. Undiscerning listeners read their banal backstory and watch their flashy videos and soon become active devotees. We're living in an era of mass misanthropy, an antisocial insanity ushered in by COVID and screen ubiquity that's led people to treat ChatGPT like a lover, therapist, and bestie rolled into one. The music just adds another layer of unreality. Prepare for QAnon level of musical hysteria where your religious grandparents says their favorite musician is the pseudo-palm act holy groove. Society has a problem with parasocial relationships. When you see how people defend Taylor Swift and Beyonce when they do something problematic, and I'm saying mostly the women because like now I don't expect cis men to do like cis men. I just expect them to be problematic. So I'm not even using them as an example anymore. But like for example, like if Taylor Swift, silent on Gaza, has said nothing. Not a political backbone in her body, hangs out with MAGA people and stuff like that. Every time you try to criticize a little baby, like, she's a billionaire. Like, she's a billionaire. You do not become a billionaire in an ethical way. It's not possible. There's no ethical billionaires. Topic for another time, but there's no ethical billionaires. But whenever somebody is going to go and criticize Taylor Swift and say that, people are going to defend her like she's a goddess. Like it's actually terrifying. It's like she has an army of people fighting for her, putting so much energy into commenting on every post that criticizes her, being like, "Why are you hating? You're hating on women." No. It's like, no, I'm talking about billionaires, and I'm talking about I'm bringing actual criticism to this conversation. I'm saying the things, saying je dis les termes, you know what I mean? Like, I'm saying the things. Imagine what parasocial relationships would look like if artists were AI. Parasocial relationships are a thing that have happened for years, like for decades, ever since we started doing, fiction. Like, people had parasocial relationships with fictional characters. Like, that's something that's completely normal. Human beings get parasocial relationships. Imagine a parasocial relationship with an AI musician. It's wild. Well, where is the world going? You know what I mean? Let Babylon Burn, a reggae artist sculpted from the ether, I don't know, recently cracked the top 10 on Spotify's viral 50 charts for Norway, Germany, and Switzerland, with the uncanny outpouring of "I Forgive That Man." The music has tricked a horde of people who write YouTube comments like, "Can't stop listening. This should be an international hit. And I am 44, and with this song, I pass through all the most tender, intimate moments of my life." You can't really blame them. Besides the nonsensical music video where the singer doesn't sync up with the vocals at all, the only overt tell that this is AI music is the Spotify bio, which is buried at the bottom of the page and describes the style as heartfelt, self-written lyrics with a unique fusion of acoustic music, production, recording, and AI-enhanced creativity. So in effect, Spotify's AI self-disclosure will do nothing. These people are already churning out vacuous robo-reggae and admitting it. The bio of another AI artist, Enly Blue, begins with the exact same line, before going on to flex recordings enhanced with cutting-edge AI technology, so every track becomes a bridge between heart, sound, and imagination. Spotify has a "This Is" playlist for Blue, whose cover photo looks like a fairy-dusted Marilyn Monroe. Blue just crossed 1 million monthly listeners with an astonishing amount for some lines of code. Their vacant dreck, "Through My Soul," is all over official Spotify viral 50 charts across Europe, along with Zunraid's "Whiskey Morning," which has a Suno demo sitting online. The irony of Soulless Soul would be funny if it wasn't such an oh my god, yeah, y'all need to be more friendly to people whose English is their second language. Egregiously overpolluted on genre. I hope I did that right. There's an abyss of these fake artists begging for deliverance through nasty purple prose and botched metaphors about ghosts and secrets. Have a glimpse at Royal Blue Notes, a page with almost 200,000 monthly listeners that's dropped 7 EPs. In the last couple of months, they deploy AI to bring the spirit of BB King back to life. What? What? So this is not BB King. This is an AI music that's using BB King's likeness. Oh my god, that is insane. So they're literally just completely stealing from an artist, a black artist at all. Everything is tied into racism, but that's also a story for another day. But so we have here an artist who is AI, and I feel like there is no indication here that it's AI music. Every song, see, they generated an AI music of BB King. I don't even want to play the music because I don't have a Spotify account anyways. Wow. Okay, Spotify won't prohibit his music, not because it thinks it's innovative or ushering a new era of technological futurism. The platform has never cared about culture, but simply because it's generating streams. If the company actually wants to be transparent and control spam, they need to go way harder. Clean up the Whiskey Blues, Bot Farms, the City Slop, the Romantasy by Road Fu Metal, the machine-mangled MAGA porn of Full Metal Patriots, who offers no labels, no compromise, just patriotism cranked to 11. I kind of want to see that now. No. They have a song called The Sovereign Steel, the anthem of Alberta. Oh my god, forged in grit, fueled by fire. Full Metal Patriot creates dynamic anthems for the bold, the battle-hardened, and the unbreakable. Sync licensing, but you can't... Okay. AI music, it is copyright free. You cannot sync license an AI song. You can literally just take it, put it in your movie. I could play the song right here. I could play the song and still monetize the channel, still monetize the video technically, because they don't have any rights. So why are you putting a sync licensing email? No labels, no compromises, just patriotism cranked to 11. Integrity, truth, conviction, justice. Oh my god, this is funny. This is real funny. Real funny. America first. Oh my god. Not like MAGA people using AI to make music. Oh my god. Critics might say, if consumers can't tell the real from the robotic, why is AI any worse than the heap of creatively threadbare and formulaic stuff made by humans? There's some logic to that, but it's dumb that people who at least train to be technically proficient could lose their livelihood to lazy hacks trying to cash in on and gamify trendy AI metas. It also plays further into the hands of DSPs who can eventually cycle out human-made AI music for their own AI background themes. This will take little time to produce and allow them to procure 100% of their royalties, further diluting the cash pool away from actual musicians. Ek is nominally gone, while still reaping monstrous profits, but the machine he built to devalue and distort organic music culture is still very much devaluing and distorting. Maybe the only thing that'll force Spotify to make a real change is a more threatening exodus. Let the bloodlet continue. I agree with the end of that article. I think the only way to make those platforms, and I'm talking about Spotify, but I'm also talking about Live Nation and Ticketmaster, is to operate outside of them and not give them your money anymore. Like we saw in the moment that like people, like artists are threatened, like big artists, Taylor Swift and Coldplay. The moment that people are like, you know what, I'm going to boycott your show because it's too expensive. But the moment that like people actually go and boycott and like there's some type of backlash against those artists for supporting those systems, then they stopped, or at least they do a little bit, because they don't want to lose their money. And that's the only way. That's the only way to get what we want, is to hit people where it hurts, and where it hurts them is the money. So we have to stop. The only way to actually like get artists to like, go back to like living a livable wage while people who go to shows or like listen to music are not being pumped of their money. Because then we could have talked about like, the whole spam of like, artists like Taylor Swift releasing like 50 different variations of their albums and like being like, yeah, you have to buy every single one of them. Like, that's another conversation. But now for Spotify and all of that, the only way to like really do something is to hit them where it hurts. And so I'm the owner of a record label called Trendstenders. So that record label is, it's a community-driven record label. The goal with it is really to empower artists. And the thing is, it's been really hard for us to understand like how we're going to operate in this system that doesn't value small artists, that doesn't value small labels, that actually like is replacing us with AI. Like, one thing that Spotify is also doing is that they're training their AI on every data that's uploaded to their site, whether it be bio, whether it be like your photo, whatever. They're using that to train their AI. As we saw, like, then that AI is going to flood the platform and take money away from real artists, right? So I've been talking to the artists on the label a lot, and we've been talking about like what we're gonna do to make things different, like to operate and to basically release music without feeling like shit. Like, that's it. Personally, like, when I released my last album, it just felt wrong to tell people to go stream it on Spotify. It just felt wrong to use all these ways to promote the music, because I was like, I don't know, I don't want to contribute to that system. It goes against everything that I stand for. And it's hard because when you see that the industry is like that, it kills your creativity also, because it's hard to create something when you feel like, on top of that, if you're part of a marginalized community, you feel like your voice doesn't matter. Not only does your voice doesn't matter, but now it's being replaced by AI and stuff like that, And so one of the things that we're going to do at Trendstenders is that we're actually going to put together a big library of music, so a big Google Drive folder with a bunch of songs in it. It's going to be all like unreleased demos and music that we make that we don't release on Spotify, that we don't release on Apple Music and all of that. And we're going to make that music available completely royalty free. So that means if you're a YouTuber, if you're a podcaster, if you're a streamer or whatever, and you want to play music in your stream, you're going to get access to this free folder, a bunch of music from trans people, from queer people, mostly trans people, and it's going to be all like 100% free for you to use. You can use it, and your stream is not going to get demonetized. You're still going to make money on whatever content you decide to make, and it's a good way for us to like make sure that trans voices actually get out there and actually get the platform that they need. By putting a song in your podcast, not only do you still make money while having music in your podcast, but also you're, promoting artists that do not get the promotion anymore on Spotify because of algorithms that completely work against us. The second thing is Trendstenders is removing every single song from our catalog from Israel on every DSP. So we're joining the No Music for Genocide movement. It is important for us to make a statement, because that's what we stand for, and because a country that is committing genocide does not deserve to have access to that much music. And so we're joining all the more than 400 artists and labels that have done that already. And then we're going to set up like different community platforms. So we're going to have a Discord where trans musicians can come and hang out, chill, like talk about music, exchange resources, talk about collaborations and things like that. A nice community of trans musicians where we can be surrounded by each other in a safe place, and talk about, music, but also everything else that it affects our creativity. And I think that in the state of the world today, that's very important. And then last but not least, on this Twitch channel, I'm going to review music by trans people, also play music by trans people, and just like, review like what I think about them. Like, we might look at like what's your release strategy, maybe offer different ways for you to like promote your brand in a way that's not depending on like institutions that hate trans people. So if you're interested in that, you can also hit us up in the DMs at Trendstenders on Instagram. And then, we will do that. More information coming on all of these things very soon. In the meantime, thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Myla. Thank you, Yogurt, with a bunch of zeros. And we'll see you tomorrow around probably the same time. Make sure to follow and make sure to support your local artists. It's okay if you don't go to the next Taylor Swift tour, and instead, like for $2,000 that you would have spent on the Taylor Swift tour, do you know how many local artists you can see? Do you know how many local shows you can go to? And trust me, just because people are local and just because they're not famous and just because they don't have billions of streams doesn't mean people are not talented. I can guarantee you, from what I've seen, no shade, but from what I've seen on those videos, I know people who deserve the $2,000 tickets. a lot more, and I'm sure those people live in your neighborhood. So yeah, so see you later. I've been trying to fake it.